What's going on, guys? This is Vince with VShred.com, and if you're working hard to get those abs, there's probably a part of your abs that you aren't training. But to be fair, that's because the muscle that we're talking about in today's video isn't even technically an ab muscle, but training it is going to be one of the most beneficial things that you can do for your physique. Also, if you like today's video at any point, to make sure that you're liking the video. And if you're not yet a part of the VShred fam here on YouTube, then it's about time you hop on board because we're pumping out content all the time and we're here to help you.
I'ma keep on going up till the lights go down.
So how do I get abs? That's one of the most common questions that I get. And truth is, if it were just as easy as doing crunches, then almost everyone that trains would be walking around with a six-pack. But it's not. And yes, you do have to build your abs, and you do that by training them like you would any other muscle group. But the way that you see them, that takes low levels of body fat. And to achieve that, you have to be eating right for your body. And if you want to know more about how to do that, we do have a free quiz that will tell you what your body type is, how much food you should be eating, and what workouts are best for you. And if you want to check that out, just click the link in the description below. There's 5 questions, takes like 20 seconds. Today we're talking about the one muscle that helps get your abs popping. But we aren't doing any ab training because our core isn't just made up of one muscle. It's made up of a bunch of muscles, which is why we do all sorts of different ab exercises and not just crunches. But if you really want to make your abs pop, the muscle that you want to train is your serratus. The serratus is the muscle under your lats, and it runs all the way back and attaches to the inner part of your scapula. And it's one of the most critical muscles to the overall look and development of the core. Now, one thing that's important to understand is that you do work this muscle some when training back or chest. But because this muscle is not easy to isolate, you want to do some specific serratus training. And I'm going to show you 4 of my favorite serratus exercises, as well as a quick warm-up that will specifically target this stabilizer muscle and really get it firing. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to show you is the activator so that we can really get that serratus muscle firing before we get into the exercises, because the exercises can be tough to actually feel it in the right area, especially with such a muscle that's so hard to target. So getting it activated beforehand is just gonna help you immensely. But you're gonna need a foam roller. I'm doing this against 2 bars. Normally I would just do this against the wall, but for filming reasons, I'm not. What we're gonna be doing is putting this against here, putting our elbows against it, and then rolling up and down. The reason you wanna do it standing up is because you don't want to be, like if you did it, let's say not against the wall, you don't want your elbows to be pressing out as you roll it up. You really want to go in a straight up and down motion so that you can really target that muscle right there. So, like I said, we're putting this up against the wall, and you're going to start probably about shoulder height, maybe a little lower than shoulder height, and then you're going to stand parallel to the wall. You're not going to be leaning back or against it. Put it about a couple inches above your elbow on the foam roller. Let me get this into position. And then from there, you're gonna have your palms in towards each other. You want your fingers out spread like so. And then from there, you're going to really focus on keeping your shoulders pressed down. You don't want to be pressing this foam roller up and let your shoulders start hunching up as well, start shrugging up as well. You wanna keep your shoulders in that one position. From here, you're going to roll this up, keeping that shoulder in that same spot, and you're only gonna go to about there. So you're only going up to about maybe eye level. You don't wanna go too high with this, and then you're going to return it back down. And you're really gonna try just keep tension really tight, and also make sure that your elbows aren't flaring out as you do this. You wanna keep your elbows tucked in, press this weight up, roll it, really trying to feel a squeeze right there. Like right now, I can feel a nice squeeze in my serratus right there. And then I'm gonna come back down and come back up. So I'm just gonna do this about 12, 15 times, really focusing on my arms, just going straight up and down rather than my body kind of moving back and forth like this, keeping my body in one spot, rolling this up, keeping my shoulders pressed down and back down. 12 to 15 of those, and you should start to feel a little bit of a burn in that serratus area right there. And then we'll get into the first exercise. All right, so the first actual exercise after the warm-up / activation exercise is gonna be a dumbbell pullover. And dumbbell pullover is an exercise that you see used for back or chest training, but it's an amazing exercise for the serratus. We just gotta make sure that we're really focusing on tension on the serratus and the lats as much as possible, rather than the chest, or messing it up and using it as a tricep exercise. But I'm gonna show you how to do that. So you got a bench, you're gonna be sitting sideways on the bench, and then you're gonna lower your body down, and then you want the back line of the bench to be resting pretty much like right at the bottom of your head or the top of your neck. That way it can kind of support your head as you go down. And you also want to be able to get a nice stretch. So you want to find that mid-range there. You don't want to be way up here to where my arms are very limited with how far they can go, but you don't want to be way over to where it's not even supporting your shoulders. So I'm going to grab this weight. I'm going to get my lower body into a strong position also. I'm going to try to keep my lower body pretty much parallel to the ground. But then I'm going to grab this weight. And then one thing that you want to make sure that you don't do is lower this weight down and then bend your elbows a lot and then press your elbows out and bring it back up. By doing this, I'm working a lot of triceps, and I'm not wanting to do that. So instead, what you want to do is try to keep just a soft bend in your elbows the whole time. Drop this weight back, feel that stretch in your lats, and then also try to almost flare your lats out. You're almost trying to make your back wider, which is really going to help engage that serratus muscle. So letting this go down, stretch, feeling that stretch right there in my serratus, and then pulling through my elbows to get this weight back up. And then notice that I stopped right here. I didn't go all the way above my chest. That's because we're not using this as a chest exercise. We want to keep tension on the muscle, so we're going to stop above our head, lower this weight down slowly again, really try to flare those lats, and then pull through your elbows right above your head and back down into the next one, and just really trying to focus on feeling it right in here. And so when you go down to that stretch, like I said, trying to flare your lats and pulling up. And so pulling through your elbows is gonna be one of the most important things that you can do, because if you are pushing, that's how you work your chest. But if you are really rotating your elbows in and pulling through your elbows, that's how you hit that muscle right there. So for these, you typically want to go a little bit lighter. The heavier that you go with these pullovers, the more likely you are to recruit other muscles, because it's just simply going to be too heavy to be super strict with your form. And when you're trying to hit a muscle as small as the serratus, you want to make sure that you are super strict with your form. So typically I'll go for 12 to 15 reps here. I only have 50 pounds here. If I was going with dumbbell pullovers for my lats or my chest, I'd be bumping up to 80 or 90 pounds. So this is a significantly lighter weight than what I normally would do, because I'm trying to focus on form and hitting that specific muscle. So that's exercise number one. Now let's move into number two. All right, so the second exercise that we got are ab wheel rollouts. And so what I have here is a little barbell with plates on it, just because I know most people don't just have an ab wheel just sitting around. And so you can do this with a barbell, and I have 35-pound plates on here. That way I can keep this weight lock on here while also being able to roll. But then you can also do this with a TRX system, the little bands that hang from the pull-up bar. You can use that overhead, or you can do this with bands as well. It's great to do with resistance bands. But basically what you're trying to do here is just really focus on the lats and the serratus rather than your abs, because if you're doing an ab rollout, you're typically not trying to get too much shoulder motion here. You're typically trying to really focus on abs and pulling back through with your abs. But instead of using pretty much only abs here, we're gonna be going out and really trying to drive our shoulders and open up our shoulders and keep them pressed down. So right there, you don't have to go nearly as low with your body, but you also want to focus on keeping your shoulders pressed down and also opening them up. So if you know how to flare your lats, like so, like a bodybuilding pose, that's what you're trying to do with this exercise, because when you flare those lats, that's when you get that serratus muscle to pop out. So I'm going close grip here also. And then so I'm rolling out, keeping my shoulders pressed down, flaring my lats, and pulling back up through my lats. So I'm almost trying to pull through my elbows. That way I can really work that serratus as I pull down rather than kind of crunching with my abs. And so you're gonna go maybe 10 to 15 reps here. So notice my back stays pretty straight and I'm just focusing on my arms moving a lot and my serratus and my lats doing pretty much all the work. So aim for, as many reps as you can really until you feel that burn. If you're not used to doing ab wheel rollouts or any kind of serratus exercises in general, these are probably gonna be pretty tough at first. So if you're only getting 5 or 6 reps, totally fine. Just make sure that you're keeping your form clean and you're not sacrificing your form to get 10 low quality reps. I'd rather you get 5 quality reps than 10 low quality reps any day. And then you can just work on getting more and more reps as the weeks go on. So this is gonna be exercise number 2, a great one, but it can be tough. Again, you can do this with bands as well. You're just gonna be doing the same thing, keeping your shoulders opened up, keeping them pressed down, and really focusing on driving those lats out as you pull back and down. So that's exercise number 2. Now let's move into number 3. All right, so next up we have a dolphin plank. And so this is an amazing exercise that really anybody can do because it's a little bit easier, but you can also rep out if you are a little bit stronger. So if you're new to it, great exercise to get you into it. And if you're not new to training, then this is one that you can just really focus on repping out and squeezing and holding as you do it. So what I mean by the dolphin plank is you're getting into a push-up position. So getting into a nice strong position, my core is tight, back is straight. First thing you're gonna do is roll your shoulders back almost like you're doing a scapular push-up. So scapular push-up right here. And that's kind of what we're doing, except we're also going to throw a little more into it. And it's called a dolphin plank because the top of the exercise, your body is supposed to be shaped like a dolphin. So first things first, roll your shoulders back, keeping your chin tucked in. You're not going like this. Keep your chin tucked in. And then from there, you're going to really focus on driving your shoulders down without doing anything to your elbows. So when I'm bringing my shoulders back, I'm not bending my elbows at all and then straightening out my elbows. I'm keeping my elbows straight, keeping my chin tucked, and then I'm going to drive my shoulders forward and I'm going to drive my back and almost like my belly button is going up towards the ceiling. And from there, you should feel a nice deep squeeze right in this area, as long as your main focus here is driving those shoulders and pushing your arms as far away from your body as you possibly can. So driving your shoulders back, chin tucked, driving them forward, and getting your body into that dolphin position, squeezing right there for a second or two, and going right back in to the next one. Same thing, pushing your arms out as far as you can, bring your belly button a little bit up towards the ceiling, and back down. So right there, that's gonna be your full range of motion. And it's not gonna feel like, if you're doing like a chest press or something, you have all this range of motion that you can really feel the exercise. With something like this, you only have a couple of inches of that range of motion, so it's not as much, which means that you have to focus even more to get that mind-muscle connection with the correct muscle groups. And so really focusing on rolling those shoulders back as far as you can, pressing forward as far as you can, and feeling that squeeze right in there to get that serratus firing correctly. So here, like I said, this is good for all difficulties, or I guess whether you're a beginner or an expert. If you're a beginner, aim for 8 to 10 of them. If you're an expert, really focus on that squeeze at the top and go for 15 to 20 of these, maybe 3 sets with a minute of rest in between. But that's number 3. Now let's move into the 4th exercise. All right, so last up, we have a band-resisted Serratus punch, or push, I guess. So what you're gonna do here is basically you're gonna have a band, and you wanna just put it you wanna connect it to something behind you. And so this can be a doorknob, this can be any kind of workout equipment. You just want it to be about your waist height, maybe waist height or just a little bit lower. You're kind of gonna be pushing up at an angle, or it's gonna feel like you're pushing up at an angle. But you're going to get this band and you want to be feeling a good amount of tension at the very beginning. And so the very beginning is with your arm bent, and you're allowing this band to pull your shoulder and your arm back as far as possible. So from there, what you're really gonna focus on is getting a nice, strong, stable base, engaging your core, and then you're gonna keep your body square and push this band forward. And then once you feel like you're all the way forward, I want you to try to push another 3 inches or so and really try to get that shoulder as far away from you as possible. So almost like someone is standing right here and you need just another 2 inches of space. And you're going, 2 more inches. You're gonna hold that for about 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you're gonna bring it back down, controlled. Bring it all the way back. Again, controlled, and then press this forward. Again, once you think you're all the way forward, go another 2 to 3 inches. 1, 2, 3, and you can see it's activated for 5. Bringing it back down. Keeping tension, pressing forward. Once you think you're all the way there, you're not. Go another couple inches. You can feel that tension right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back down. So you're gonna go 10 reps on one arm, and then you're gonna switch, and you're gonna basically go 10 reps on the other arm. Same thing, really focusing on pushing as far as you can, feeling that squeeze in the serratus, that tension in the muscle, coming back down, keeping tension, and pressing again, and squeezing and pressing as far out as you can. So 10 reps each side. Maybe rest for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and do that for 3 total sets. And that is it. Those are the 4 exercises. So there you have it. 4 serratus focused exercises that will help you develop this muscle of many names, and whatever you want to call it, if it's popping, your abs will look drastically different. And again, don't forget that you can't only train one part of your abs. We have a lot of follow along ab training videos here on the channel. But that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure that you're clicking that thumbs up button below. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.